Hello and welcome to Easy Sleep Science. Tonight we'll step into the mysterious world of dreams. Each night as you drift into sleep, something quiet and hidden begins. Your thoughts loosen, your senses grow soft, and a new reality gently unfolds. Scenes appear effortlessly. People walk in, and an entire story seems to weave itself out of nothing. Dreams can be riddles, mirrors, or journeys. They carry fragments of memory, flashes of imagination, and whispers of feeling. Sometimes they lift us into flight. Sometimes they leave us wondering at their vivid strangeness. And sometimes they fade so fast we question if they ever existed at all. If you enjoy calm explorations like this, please like and subscribe or leave a quiet note in the comments. It helps other curious souls find their way here. Now let the weariness of your day slowly melt away. Relax, breathe softly, and let the quiet magic lead you towards sleep. Let's begin. We still don't fully know why dreams exist. Dreaming is one of science's oldest mysteries. We understand much about the stages of sleep, brain rhythms, and chemical changes. But the true reason we dream remains uncertain. Some believe dreams help the brain consolidate memory, like pressing save on the day's events. Others think they help us process emotion, replaying difficult experiences in a safe space so that we wake lighter. There's also the idea that dreams are rehearsals for danger or social challenges, or that they spark creativity by blending fragments of memory into something new. Perhaps all of these are true depending on age, stress, and circumstance. What is certain is that dreams aren't meaningless. They're a door cracked open, letting us glimpse the brain's quiet work at night, even if its purpose remains hidden. Scientists have even managed to have two-way conversations with people who were dreaming. It sounds impossible, but real communication has happened. Volunteers trained to experience lucid dreams, knowing they're dreaming while still asleep. Before bed, they learned a simple eye movement code, shifting their eyes left and right in a set pattern to signal, "I'm dreaming." When awareness arose inside the dream, they used that signal. Researchers then asked questions through sounds, lights, or gentle touches. Dreamers replied with eye movements or facial twitches. In some cases, they solved math problems or answered yes or no questions, all while still dreaming. The exchange was brief, more like sending signals than speaking, but it proved something profound. The sleeping brain is not sealed off from the world. Consciousness can exist inside a dream, and information can move both ways in real time. Even the scent of roses can soften a nightmare. Smell is special. It connects directly to the brain's centers for memory and emotion, and that pathway stays open during sleep. In one study, participants smelled roses during a pleasant moment while awake. Later, the same scent was introduced as they slept. When nightmares occurred, the rose scent made them less frightening. Fear and tension eased, and the dream's mood shifted to calm and safety. Most didn't actually dream of roses, yet the scent quietly changed the emotional tone of the dream. This discovery suggests a gentle way to reduce recurring nightmares, nudging the brain toward peace. It reminds us that even in sleep, the outer world can touch the inner one. A sound played during sleep can strengthen a chosen memory. The brain never truly turns off at night. It continues working with the day's memories. Researchers have learned how to guide that process. Before sleeping, volunteers studied new material like word pairs or object locations on a screen. Each set of objects was linked to a faint sound, such as a piano note. While they slept, scientists replayed only one of those sounds. Without waking, the brain heard the cue and reactivated the matching memory network. By morning, those objects were remembered more clearly. This is called targeted memory reactivation. It doesn't create new knowledge, but strengthens existing pathways, showing how sensitive the sleeping brain remains. With the right teacher, rest itself can enhance learning. One device can even plant dream themes to boost creativity. Dream incubation is no longer just an ancient idea. New tools can gently guide dreams toward chosen topics in the fragile moments before deep sleep. As the body relaxes, sensors detect breathing and muscle tone. At the perfect time, the device plays a keyword like ocean or trees. The cue slips into that half-dreaming state where fleeting images appear. If the wearer stirs slightly, the device may ask a brief question, then encourage more sleep. By morning, many recall dream fragments related to that theme, rich and unusual in imagery. Studies suggest these guided dreams can spark creativity and flexible thinking, as if the brain spent the night exploring new connections. It's an early example of technology meeting sleep science, touching imagination in delicate, unexpected ways. In lucid dreams, people can solve problems and wink back at researchers. When lucid, you know you're dreaming, but remain within the dream. Some can direct their attention or even shape what happens. In labs, participants were given simple tasks before sleeping, like solving equations or performing sequences of movements. Once lucid, they completed the task and sent the eye signal code. The results confirmed that deliberate thought is possible in dreams, and imagined movement activates the same motor regions as real motion. Beyond the lab, many describe finding inspiration, composing music, rehearsing speeches, or discovering answers. Though control is never total, the ability to think and act within dreams opens a remarkable mental playground where imagination and practice merge vividly. Real. But not all dream-related activity is harmless. Acting out dreams can be an early sign of Parkinson's disease. Normally, the body is paralyzed during REM to keep us from moving. In REM behavior disorder, that safety switch fails. People may shout, thrash, or even leap from bed, dangerous for both sleeper and partner. Doctors recommend removing sharp objects nearby and using medication to reduce symptoms. This disorder is medically important. Many who develop it later show signs of Parkinson's or related conditions, sometimes years before other symptoms appear. It's one of the earliest, most reliable clues of neurodegeneration, allowing doctors to monitor and prepare early. Sometimes what seems like strange dreaming is really the brain's first whisper of deeper change. Artificial intelligence can now even reconstruct dream images from brain activity. Recent experiments show that dream content leaves patterns that can be decoded. Volunteers viewed pictures while their brains were scanned. AI learned how specific activity patterns matched visual features, shapes, textures, or subjects. Later, when they slept, similar brain areas lit up. From those signals, the AI rebuilt rough images, often capturing the right theme: faces, buildings, forests. Other methods can tell whether a dream includes movement or animals. Though still primitive, this proves that dreams leave real footprints in the brain. For the first time, humans can glimpse the imagery inside another mind's sleep, raising new questions about privacy and the future of dream science. People born blind also dream through sound, touch, and scent. Dreams aren't limited to sight. Those without vision experience vivid dreams through the senses they use most. They hear voices and echoes, sense space through sound, feel surfaces, footsteps, warmth, and even sunlight. Smells and tastes form rich backdrops, the sharpness of smoke, the sweetness of food. Their dreams are as complex and emotional as any visual one. Those who lose sight later still dream in pictures for years, then gradually shift to other senses. It shows that dreaming isn't about the eyes, it's about the brain's power to build worlds from any sensation it holds. Sometimes the brain's safety system misfires. You wake up while the body remains frozen, able to breathe and move your eyes, but nothing else. Many also sense vivid hallucinations, footsteps, pressure on the chest, or a presence in the room. This is sleep paralysis, harmless but terrifying. It lasts less than a minute, yet the mix of paralysis and vision can feel supernatural. Regular sleep schedules and relaxation reduce its frequency. And knowing what it is helps calm the fear. It's just a temporary mismatch between brain and body, not a force pressing you down. Dreams don't only happen in REM sleep. For years, scientists thought they did, but awakenings from other stages, especially N2, also reveal dreams. NREM dreams are simpler, more focused on daily concerns or problem solving. In the deepest N3 stage, dreams are rarer, but can still appear. Toward morning, as the brain cycles between stages, REM dreams grow more cinematic, weaving memories into stories. This discovery changed how we see dreaming, not as an isolated event, but as a feature of the sleeping brain, appearing differently depending on which regions are active. High-density EEG studies found a key area behind the brain, the posterior hot zone, linked to vision space and body perception. When this region lights up with high-frequency activity, people almost always report dreaming if awakened. When it quiets down, even during REM, they often report nothing. It's one of the clearest biological signatures of dreaming. We have allowing scientists to peek at when the brain's private movie begins. Emotional centers stay active while logic rests. Imaging shows that the amygdala and hippocampus, the emotion and memory hubs, remain highly engaged while the prefrontal control regions quiet down. That's why dreams feel intense, yet illogical. We accept contradictions, scene jumps, and impossibilities without question. Emotion runs hot while the inner editor sleeps. In lucid dreams, some of those frontal circuits come back online, helping dreamers realize they're dreaming and sometimes steer the plot, though emotion still burns bright. Scientists think this balance has a purpose. By relaxing strict logic, the brain can freely explore feelings and memories, rehearse social or threatening situations, and form new associations. Dreams become a safe space to process emotion without triggering real stress. PGO waves ripple through as vivid scenes arise. In animals and humans, bursts of activity sweep the brain during sleep, from the pons to the lateral geniculate nucleus to the occipital cortex, which handles vision. They align with rapid eye movements, likely marking scene changes or shifts of attention within the dream. They may also aid memory consolidation as they coincide with emotion and memory centers firing together. In humans, direct recording is harder, but EEG and intracranial data hint at similar events. We can't yet watch dreams frame by frame, but PGO waves reveal an internal rhythm guiding dream imagery. Chemically, acetylcholine surges while norepinephrine and serotonin drop. Each sleep stage has its own fingerprint, and this mix defines REM. High acetylcholine keeps the cortex active, painting vivid images, while low norepinephrine and serotonin remove the brakes of alert logic. Dopamine's blended pattern may add emotional charge. This unusual chemistry seems tuned to help process memory and restore emotional balance. It also explains why certain drugs like antidepressants or nicotine patches can alter dream intensity. The inner critic falls silent, letting the story bend reality. When awake, your prefrontal networks constantly check for errors and enforce logic. At night, they rest. Without that skeptical voice, you accept teleportation, impossible physics, and meetings with the dead. The brain still builds coherent narratives, but reality's borders soften. Interestingly, when lucidity returns, part of that frontal network switches back on, allowing the dreamer to question and sometimes reshape the dream's flow. Scientists believe that temporarily loosening the rules can be helpful. It lets the mind explore new ideas, test unusual scenarios, and loosen rigid patterns. Dreams don't just bend physics for fun, they may help us think more creatively and flexibly when awake. Day residue appears in dreams with a curious delay. Daily life leaves a clear fingerprint in dreams. Events from the day often reappear that night, an effect called day residue. But researchers have found something stranger. Many experiences reappear about a week later. This dream lag effect shows up for both emotional experiences and learning tasks. It's as if the brain first stabilizes the memory, then comes back days later to weave it into a broader network. When those memories return, they rarely replay intact. Instead, fragments of place, a sound, a conversation, combine with other elements to form a new scene. This double rhythm suggests dreams are tightly tied to how memory is consolidated in stages. Both the immediate residue and the late echo give the brain chances to sort, strengthen, and integrate what matters, while the rest quietly fades. Threat simulations often rehearse safely in dreams. Many dreams include being chased, attacked, or trapped. Psychologists think this may serve a training purpose. The brain rehearses danger in a safe environment, letting us practice responses without real consequences. Studies comparing dream content with daily journals show that threat scenarios are far more common in dreams than in real life. Interestingly, they often end in escape or resolution rather than harm. Children and people who have faced real danger report even more threat dreams, suggesting the brain may be adapting to their experiences. Of course, not every nightmare is helpful. In PTSD, dreams can get stuck in a loop of fear. But overall, the prevalence of threat rehearsal supports the idea that dreaming isn't random noise. It's like a built-in simulator that prepares us for challenges while we sleep and eases emotional load when we're awake. Our social world also gets a nighttime dress rehearsal. Dreams are crowded. Most characters we meet are familiar faces, family, friends, co-workers, or blends of people we know. Researchers call this the social simulation hypothesis. Dreams let us practice navigating relationships. We negotiate, argue, reconcile, and empathize, all in imagined scenarios. Research shows dream reports are rich in dialogue and social interaction, often more than you'd expect from daily life. Brain regions involved in understanding others' thoughts and feelings remain active in REM even while logic centers quiet down. This balance may help us probe different social outcomes without overthinking. It's like running conversations ahead of time, testing reactions, and releasing tension. Dreams give us a stage to practice being human, rehearsing roles and bonds that shape waking life. Dreams remix life's pieces into entirely new scenes. When people recount dreams, the content rarely matches real events. Instead, dreams pull fragments from different times and places and fuse them into something new. A cafe you visited last week can blend with a childhood memory and yesterday's worry. Neuroscience suggests this happens because the hippocampus reactivates memory fragments during sleep, and the cortex stitches them into new patterns. This process may help us find meaning or extract general rules from specific experiences. It can also feed creativity, allowing combinations the waking mind wouldn't try. Studies show people who dream about a task often perform better the next day, as if the brain reorganized and tested ideas overnight. Dreams may seem random, but that blending could be exactly what helps us learn and adapt. Those flashes of hypnagogia bloom right as you're falling asleep. As you drift from wakefulness into sleep, there's a fragile phase called hypnagogia. It lasts only minutes, but during its the brain produces brief bursts of imagery and sensation. You might see swirling patterns, flashes of light, or a fragment of a face that appears and dissolves. Some people jolt a hypnic jerk, often with the feeling of falling. Others hear brief sounds or snippets of voices. These experiences arise as brain rhythms slow and attention fades. They aren't full dreams yet, but they show how quickly the mind starts assembling sensory pieces into many tiny stories. Because this state is highly suggestible, a single word or thought can influence what appears. Many artists and scientists have used it as a spark for creativity, catching ideas that surface at the edge of sleep. Hypnopompic echoes linger as you wake up. The journey out of sleep is as strange as the one into it. As the brain reopens, dream images don't always vanish immediately. Instead, fragments linger in a state called hypnopompia. People may wake with fading voices, floating faces, or scenes dissolving like mist. Sometimes these echoes blend with the real bedroom, creating a curious overlap between dreaming and waking. They're most common after REM, when the brain's scene-building regions are still active and executive control has just returned. For many, they're brief and peaceful. For those with narcolepsy, they can be vivid and frequent, sometimes paired with sleep paralysis. Usually they're harmless and fade within minutes. Still, they show how thin the border is between dreaming and waking. The mind needs a moment to decide which world it's in. Time and dreams can stretch or compress in uncanny ways. Dreams often warp our sense of time. A few minutes of real sleep can feel like an hour-long dream packed with events and long journeys. At other times, a seemingly complete dream lasts only seconds. Experiments with lucid dreamers help measure this. When asked to count to 10 and signal start-stop with eye movements, most count at almost the same pace as when awake. That suggests the basic clock holds steady. The feeling of expansion likely comes from how dreams skip transitions and condense action into highlights. Emotional intensity can also broaden our sense of time, just as a brilliant day can feel endlessly long. A dream charged with feeling can seem extended. The result is elastic dream time, sometimes racing, sometimes lingering, leaving the impression of a full story within a single sleep cycle. Outside, sounds are woven into the plot. Even in deep sleep, your ears are slightly open. The brain filters most noise, but some sounds slip through. Rather than waking you, They're often woven into the dream's storyline. A slamming door may become thunder. A dog barking outside may turn into an animal in the narrative. A song on the radio can morph into the scene's soundtrack. Researchers use this effect to study memory playing specific sounds to reactivate something learned during the day. These cues are absorbed most smoothly in REM when the brain is highly active but less strict about what it accepts. This shows dreams aren't cut off from the world. They're a continuous construction that balances internal signals with random external hints, blending them into the story the brain is building. Flashes of light can appear as lightning or a camera flash. Even with your eyes closed, light reaches the retina. A single brief light pulse can trigger a response in the visual system. When this happens during sleep, the brain often explains the flash by inserting it into the dream. A sudden glow may become a lightning bolt, a camera flash, or a headlight flare. Researchers have safely delivered gentle light pulses to sleeping people, and many reported vivid flashes woven into their dreams. Stronger light or bad timing tends to wake people, but subtle flashes are often absorbed smoothly. This helps scientists track sleep stages or even try to influence dream content. It also shows how the brain labors to keep the dream coherent instead of ignoring a signal. It interprets it threading outside reality into the ongoing story. Your own name still slips in from the outside world. Among the many sounds that can reach you during sleep, your name stands out. Studies show hearing your name triggers stronger brain responses than other words, even without conscious awareness. It can evoke a K-complex in light NREM sleep or be woven straight into a REM dream. People often report hearing someone call their name or dreaming of a conversation, then realizing it was real. The brain seems tuned to treat personal signals as special, keeping a line of attention open even when most external input is blocked. Evolutionarily, that makes sense. Responding to your name could matter for survival. For the dreamer, it underscores that sleep isn't total separation. The mind still listens, and certain signals, especially those tied directly to us, find their way in. Pain appears less often and is usually softened. Even though many nightmares are intense, physical pain is rare in dreams. When it does appear, it often differs from waking pain, less sharp, shorter, or strangely turned down. People with injuries or chronic pain sometimes report pain in dreams, but even then, it often shifts, form fades, or becomes symbolic. Scientists suggest several reasons during sleep. The brainstem dampens sensory signals, and neurotransmitters involved in pain transmission decrease. At the same time, attention tilts toward imagery and emotion rather than continuous body monitoring. This may explain why many dreams center on fear, pursuit, or conflict rather than physical pain. Pain can appear, but it's rarely the focus. Clinically, this matters when patients report pain during sleep. It may be a clue to underlying conditions because pain stands out against a background where dreams are typically low pain. Taste and smell are infrequent, yet they still shape emotion. Most people rarely taste or smell in dreams. When they do, it's simple. A sip of something sweet, a whiff of smoke, a fleeting flavor. Even when we don't notice them directly, these senses can quietly steer a dream's emotion. Smell is especially potent because it's tightly linked to memory and feeling. Experiments show that introducing a pleasant scent during sleep can soothe dreams, while unpleasant odors can darken the mood. People whose lives revolve around flavor and fragrance, like chefs or perfumers, sometimes report richer sensory detail in dreams. For most of us, these two senses play supporting roles like lighting or background music, yet they still color the dream's tone. They remind us that dreams are built from the raw materials of the senses, and the faintest cue can nudge a story's emotion in ways we hardly notice. Most dreams are in color, though black and white has been reported. Modern studies consistently show that most dreams have color. Earlier research in the mid-20th century reported more black and white dreams, but scientists now think culture influenced that. People who grew up with black and white films and TV tended to describe dreams that way. As color media became common, reports of colored dreams increased. Today, most people say they dream in color, though black and white still appears sometimes. Colors aren't always vivid. Sometimes they're muted, and sometimes a single detail pops like a red coat or a bright green sign. Many dreamers don't notice color until asked, suggesting the brain fills the scene so naturally that color becomes the default. This shows dreams aren't purely biological. They're shaped by the cultural environment we grow up in. Eye movements sometimes mirror where the dreamer is looking. Rapid eye movements, REM, aren't just random twitches. In many cases, they line up with where the dreamer's attention is focused inside the dream. This scanning hypothesis has been tested with lucid dreamers. Before sleep, they agree to move their eyes in a set pattern when looking at something in the dream, like left, right, up, down. When recorded, the signal often matches that intention. Tracking a moving object in a dream can even produce smooth pursuit-like eye patterns similar to wakefulness. Not every eye movement reflects dream content. Some are generated by the brainstem, but enough match to let scientists use them as timestamps, linking dream events to measurable activity. These signals give researchers a rare window into the flow of attention within a dream moment by moment. The motor cortex activates for actions your body doesn't perform. When you dream of running, climbing, or playing an instrument, your muscles stay still. But inside your skull, the motor cortex, the area that plans and executes movement, lights up almost as strongly as when you're awake and actually moving. Brain scans show that dreaming of a specific action activates the very circuits used to control that action in real life. This explains why daytime practice often replays at night. Musicians dream scales. Athletes dream repeated motions. Gamers dream the patterns they just played. The body is locked so you don't leap out of bed, but this rehearsal seems to strengthen motor memory. Upon waking, dreamers sometimes perform better, as if the brain had been trained during sleep. It suggests dreams may be an integrated simulator for honing skills and learning. Tiny twitches leak through the stillness like crumbs of movement. Sleep typically includes atonia, a whole-body stillness that prevents you from acting out dreams. But the system isn't perfect. Small twitches still slip through. A finger jerks, a foot gives a little kick, or eyes dart beneath the lids. For a long time, these movements seemed random, but research shows they can match dream content. Dreaming of kicking a ball may trigger a leg jerk. Dreaming of talking can make the lips quiver. In animals like cats and dogs, these twitches are even easier to spot, and scientists suspect they reflect brief motor commands slipping through the brainstem's usual paralysis. These tiny leaks are harmless, yet they give researchers clues about what's happening in dreams. They're like sparks escaping from a hidden fire, fleeting traces of the inner world made visible. Nightmare frequency rises with stress, then often falls as stress eases. Nightmares aren't purely random. They're shaped by daily life. During exams, after arguments, or while coping with lost, nightmares tend to appear more often. Dream themes often echo those pressures even when exaggerated or symbolic. Interestingly, as stress fades or is resolved, nightmare frequency typically drops too. This suggests dreams may be processing emotional load, staging difficult scenarios until the feelings lighten. Nightmares are common in childhood and can spike during stressful stretches in adulthood. Unpleasant as they are, they can be useful rehearsing responses, reducing emotional intensity, or signaling that something in life needs attention. Understanding this link helps explain why soothing routines, psychotherapy, and stress reduction often make the night calmer, letting the brain rest instead of replaying fear. Many cases of nightmares can be treated without medication. Although nightmares are distressing, drugs aren't always necessary. Therapies that work directly with dreams are often effective. One method is called imagery rehearsal. A person recalls a recurrent nightmare while awake, then intentionally changes the ending to something safer or more positive. They practice imagining this new version repeatedly, like rewriting a script. Over time, the nightmare often weakens or disappears. Other strategies include relaxation, mindfulness, and building gentle pre-sleep habits to lower nighttime stress. For some, dream journaling helps turning a frightening experience into a story they can influence. Medication is used in some cases, especially for trauma-related nightmares, but behavioral interventions are usually tried first. These approaches underscore an encouraging idea. Our relationship with dreams isn't fixed. With practice and guidance, even the most troubling patterns can shift, so sleep becomes safe again. Imagery rehearsal therapy lets you rewrite a nightmare's ending. One of the most studied ways to soothe nightmares is imagery rehearsal therapy. Start by writing out the nightmare in detail, capturing the story as you remember it. Then, while awake, change the ending. The monster becomes friendly, the fall turns into flight, the threat dissolves before it hits. You rehearse this new version in your imagination daily, training the brain to expect a different outcome. Over time, when the nightmare returns, the dream often follows the rewritten script or loses its force. Research shows this therapy can reduce nightmare frequency and distress, especially in people with post-traumatic stress disorder. It works because the dreaming brain reuses waking imagery. By planting new versions of the story, you offer alternate paths for it to follow. Nightmares become less of a trap, and sleep grows gentler and more restorative. Recurring dreams often fade when real-life triggers change. Many people have repeated dreams: the unstudied exam, the chase through a dark street, the fall from a height. These loops can last years, even decades. Dream journal studies reveal something striking. When the waking preoccupation at the heart of the dream shifts, the recurring dream often fades. A student who dreams of failing an exam may stop once they graduate. Someone who dreams of being lost may see that theme vanish after they move past a period of uncertainty. The repetition seems to signal that the brain hasn't closed the file on a long-running worry or conflict. When the waking situation changes, the dream no longer needs to repeat. This view suggests that even bothersome loops have a purpose. They bring us back to unresolved themes until we address them or move on. Sleep paralysis blends waking awareness with REM immobility. Sleep paralysis happens when the brain wakes before the body does. Normally during sleep, the brainstem switches off most muscle control so you don't act out dreams. If awareness returns before that immobility is lifted, you find yourself awake but unable to move. This experience is often accompanied by vivid hallucinations, footsteps, voices, or a figure in the room because the brain is still partly dreaming. It can be frightening, and across cultures it has inspired myths about demons, hauntings, or night visitors. Episodes usually last under a minute and resolve on their own. They aren't dangerous, though they can leave a lingering fright. Regular sleep stress management and adjusting sleep posture can reduce frequency. For some, learning to recognize the state helps them stay calm, sometimes even transitioning into a lucid dream instead of panicking. Exploding head syndrome throws phantom blasts right at sleep onset. Despite the dramatic name, exploding head syndrome isn't harmful, but it can startle you. People experience sudden, loud noises as they fall asleep or just after waking, like a gunshot crash or explosion, often with a flash of light or a body jolt. There's no real sound, it's the brain generating the sensation. Scientists think it stems from a brief glitch in the brain's powering down process when sensory networks fire together. The episode ends quickly, though the shock can spike your heartbeat. Many people have it once or twice in life, others experience it more often. Knowing what it is can be reassuring. It isn't a sign of danger or brain damage, just one of the mind's many strange but harmless fireworks as it falls asleep. False awakenings can stack into a loop of dreams within dreams. A false awakening is when you dream you've woken up only to later realize you're still asleep. People often report getting out of bed, starting their morning routine, even brushing their teeth, then suddenly discovering they're still in a dream. Sometimes this repeats multiple times, creating a loop of waking up again and again before truly returning to reality. These experiences can be disorienting, especially when paired with sleep paralysis or lingering dream imagery. For lucid dreamers, a false awakening can be a cue that they're still asleep, opening a chance for awareness and exploration. For others, it can be confusing, making it hard to know when they're truly awake. The phenomenon highlights how convincing the dream world can be. The brain doesn't just simulate the fantastical, it can also model the ordinary details of waking life, blurring the line between dream and reality. Tooth loss and flying are common themes across cultures. Ask people about their most memorable dreams, and two themes come up again and again. One is flying, gliding over landscapes, drifting through the air, often with a feeling of freedom. The other is losing teeth, often scary and eerily vivid. These themes appear in dream reports across cultures and eras, suggesting they tap into universal aspects of human experience. Flying may echo the body's weightlessness during REM sleep or reflect deep desires for freedom and control. Tooth loss dreams are less pleasant. Theories link them to anxieties about appearance, aging, or loss of control. Whether joyful or uneasy, these recurring motifs remind us that dreams often draw on shared human concerns. Our brains may be wired to generate certain symbolic experiences that repeat across centuries and cultures, as if the dream world has a common language of its own. Dream recall varies widely and can be trained. Some people wake with vivid, detailed stories every morning, others rarely remember any dreams. Research shows this difference isn't just about dreaming more or less, but also about how we wake and how the brain handles memory during state transitions. People who wake up multiple times at night tend to remember more simply because they catch dreams in progress. Brain imaging also shows that frequent recallers have stronger activity in regions tied to memory and attention. The good news: recall can improve with practice. Keep a notebook by the bed, set the intention to remember and pause before moving in the morning. All of this helps. Over time, even infrequent recallers can begin recording more often, opening the door to a world that might otherwise vanish at dawn. A dream journal can boost recall in just a few days. One of the simplest ways to remember more dreams is to write them down. Sleep researchers find that people who keep a dream journal quickly improve recall, sometimes after only a few nights. The act of writing signals to the brain that dream content matters, so the memory lingers a little longer after waking. This practice also strengthens the bridge between memory systems in dreaming and waking. Even if you surface with only a fragment, a single image, word, or feeling, writing it down makes it easier to remember more next time. After a few weeks, entries often grow longer and more detailed. Regular journalers begin to notice patterns, recurring themes, and emotional through lines. A journal doesn't just preserve memories, it trains the mind to attend to the night, turning fleeting moments into lasting narratives. Waking during the night captures more dreams than waiting until morning. If you rely only on remembering dreams upon waking up, you're missing much of the night's activity. Studies show that people gently awakened several times report more dreams, often from lighter sleep stages they'd usually forget. These dreams can be shorter, less dramatic, and sometimes more everyday than the vivid epics of late-night REM. By morning, many early dreams have faded, overwritten by later cycles. That's why people who naturally wake during the night often recall more. For the curious, setting an alarm to interrupt sleep can increase dream capture, though it trades off restfulness. This underscores how fragile dream memory is. Much of our nocturnal mental life disappears the instant waking consciousness returns. Morning REM is especially rich in vivid dreams. Not all REM is the same. As the night goes on, REM periods grow longer and more intense. Early REM may last only minutes. By morning, it can approach an hour. These later phases are when visual and emotional brain regions are most active and when people report the most cinematic dreams. So, the final dream before waking often feels elaborate or real compared to earlier ones. Morning REM also tends to feature stranger plots, sudden perspective shifts, and a feeling of being immersed in another world. These are the dreams we most often remember, not because earlier dreams didn't happen, but because the last cycle sits right on the edge of wakefulness. In a sense, the morning dream is the brain's curtain call before returning you to daylight. REM rebound after deprivation brings thick, intense dreaming. When deprived of REM, the brain seems to keep score. In labs, volunteers blocked from entering REM for a night or two fall into REM faster on the next sleep. REM periods also grow longer and denser, as if the brain is paying back its debt. This is called REM rebound. Dream journals during rebound nights are often especially vivid, emotional, and intense, sometimes overwhelming. People may have more nightmares or unusually elaborate plots. The phenomenon suggests REM isn't optional. The brain needs it, and if it's blocked, it compensates. Alcohol, caffeine, or prolonged late nights can delay or suppress REM, helping explain why, after finally crashing following sleep loss, people often report wild dreams. Rebound is the brain's insistence on finishing its night work even when we've resisted it. Antidepressants can alter dream vividness and frequency. Many antidepressants modulate serotonin and norepinephrine, two chemicals that regulate sleep. These drugs can reduce REM sometimes to a fraction of the usual amount. Users often notice changes in dream recall. Some dream less or less vividly. Others report unusually intense or emotionally heavy dreams. Effects vary by drug and person. For some, reducing REM soothes nightmares. One reason certain antidepressants are used for PTSD. For others, it can cause restless nights or odd dream content. These findings highlight the tight link between dreaming and brain chemistry. Shift the balance of neurotransmitters and medications designed for mood can reshape the inner landscape of sleep, sometimes helpfully, sometimes unexpectedly or uncomfortably. Nicotine patches can make dreams unusually vivid. People using nicotine patches to quit smoking often report a surprising side effect. Dreams become strikingly vivid. This effect is well documented in clinical trials. Nicotine stimulates receptors involved in sleep regulation and brain activity. Delivered steadily through the night, it can amplify the brain's visual imagery, leading to bright, strange, or unforgettable dreams. Some find these dreams creative and enjoyable. Others feel uneasy or tired. The effect often fades as the brain adapts or when the patch is discontinued. It's another example of how brain chemistry shapes the dream world. Substances designed for one purpose can shift the neurotransmitter balance during sleep, revealing how exquisitely sensitive the dreaming brain is to tiny chemical changes. Alcohol suppresses early REM, then bounces back with heavy dreaming. Alcohol is often thought of as a sleep aid, but its effects on dreaming are more complex. After drinking, you may fall asleep faster, but alcohol suppresses REM in the first half of the night. The brain postpones the dream stage, holding it back. As the alcohol wears off later, REM returns in longer, more intense bursts. This rebound can produce vivid, restless, sometimes unpleasant dreams, often toward early morning. People also wake more easily, making those dreams likelier to be remembered. This pattern helps explain why post-alcohol sleep often feels less restorative, even if you spend many hours in bed. The brain seems determined to complete its REM cycles, and when they're blocked, the makeup phase can be overwhelming. What looks like deep sleep after drinking is actually a restless negotiation between sedation and the need to dream. Cannabis can quiet. REM stopping can unleash vivid dreams. Cannabis interacts with brain systems that regulate sleep, especially the endocannabinoid system and transmitters like GABA and dopamine. Regular use is known to suppress REM, reducing the number and vividness of dreams. Some people report going weeks or even months without remembering dreams when using consistently. But when you stop, something interesting happens. The sleep rebounds. The brain ramps up dream intensity, often creating a wave of vivid, even bizarre dreams. This rebound can be surprising, especially for those who haven't recalled dreams in years. The effect usually tapers as the brain adjusts. Researchers are still examining cannabis's long-term impact on sleep architecture, but findings show just how sensitive dreaming is to brain chemistry. What seems like a simple bedtime relaxant can over time change not only sleep depth, but also the richness of dreams once its effects lift. Beta blockers are notorious for odd dreams and nightmares. Beta blockers are commonly prescribed for hypertension or heart disease. They work by blocking certain stress-related signals in the body, especially adrenaline. For reasons not fully understood, they can also disrupt sleep. Many new users report unusually vivid, strange imagery or frequent nightmares. Some describe dream content that's more negative or emotionally heavy. Scientists suspect this stems from altered norepinephrine activity as the drugs change how the brain regulates arousal and memory during sleep. While not dangerous, the experience can be unsettling, and doctors sometimes adjust the medication or dosing time to ease it. The link underscores how tightly brain chemistry is bound to the stories we live through at night. Even medications aimed at the heart can spill over into the sleeping mind, shaping both dream content and how we feel upon waking. Pregnancy often comes with vivid, emotionally rich dreams. During pregnancy, many people notice dreams become unusually intense, colorful, and emotional. Hormonal shifts, especially progesterone and estrogen, can alter sleep structure and increase time spent in REM. Meanwhile, the body is changing rapidly, and the mind is preparing for a major life transition. Together, these factors make dream content more vivid and memorable. Pregnant people often describe scenarios involving water animals or themes of protection and vulnerability. Some researchers suggest such dreams reflect how the mind processes anticipation, worry, and excitement about parenthood. Others note that frequent nighttime awakenings during pregnancy also boost recall, since dream memories decay quickly, if not captured right away. Whatever the cause, the vivid dream world of pregnancy may be one way the brain rehearses and explores the meaning of nurturing a new life. Fever can make dreams bizarre and hypervisual. Many people find that when they have a fever, dreams take on a surreal quality, sometimes uncomfortable. These fever dreams are often more vivid, distorted, or emotionally intense than usual. Research suggests elevated body temperature can disrupt sleep cycles, leading to unusual brain activity patterns. Higher temperatures may heighten cortical activation and change how the brain processes sensory information, producing more striking imagery and stranger narratives. Some report shifting colors, melting landscapes, or impossible creatures. Others describe anxiety themes like being trapped or overwhelmed. Unpleasant as they can be, fever dreams may reflect the brain's effort to adapt under physiological stress. A few scientists even wonder whether abnormal dream content might signal illness to the body, though evidence is limited. What's clear is that fever alters the sleeping brain's operations, making inner stories more surreal and memorable. Sleep apnea affects REM and changes dream recall. Sleep apnea involves repeated breathing interruptions throughout the night, often without the sleeper realizing it. Each pause forces a brief awakening, remembered or not. These disruptions fragment sleep cycles and cut into REM. As a result, untreated individuals often report recalling fewer dreams because the brain struggles to sustain the continuous activity vivid dreaming requires. However, in some cases, frequent awakenings actually increase recall, since people wake directly from a dream before it fades. Dream content in apnea can sometimes be more anxious or stressful, reflecting the body's struggle to breathe. This overlap may contribute to nightmares or panic upon waking. The condition also raises cardiovascular risks and daytime sleepiness. Understanding its impact on dreams highlights how vital healthy breathing is, not only for the body, but for the mind's night work. Treating apnea can dramatically reshape dream patterns. When people with apnea begin using continuous positive airway pressure, CPAP, they often notice striking changes in their dream life. By preventing breathing pauses from disrupting sleep, CPAP allows longer, more stable REM phases. In the first few nights, some report a surge of overwhelming vivid dreams, a rebound, as the brain pays back lost REM. After a few weeks, patterns usually stabilize. Dreams grow less chaotic, awakenings decrease, and sleep feels more restorative. For many, the return of dreams is a welcome sign that therapy is working. For others, the initial vividness can be unsettling, but it typically fades as routine normalizes. These shifts show how tightly dream content is bound to bodily physiology and how restoring healthy sleep can reshape the entire night. Narcolepsy brings vivid dream intrusions right at sleep onset. Narcolepsy is a disorder where the boundary between waking and dreaming is unusually thin. People may enter REM almost immediately after dozing, skipping the usual stages. That allows dream imagery to spill into moments when they're still partly aware of their surroundings, producing lifelike and sometimes frightening hallucinations. These experiences often coincide with a sudden loss of muscle tone called cataplexy, especially during strong emotions like laughter or surprise. Dreams in narcolepsy are often vivid and bizarre, sometimes blending seamlessly with reality. The overlap can be confusing, but it also offers researchers insight into how fluid the sleep-wake boundary can be. Studying narcolepsy gives science clues about how REM is controlled and why dreaming normally confined to the night can sometimes flood into daytime life. Cataplexy shows that emotion can trigger REM-like paralysis. Cataplexy is a temporary loss of muscle control, often triggered by strong emotions such as laughter, excitement, or anger. It occurs most often in narcolepsy and is thought to reflect sleep mechanisms intruding into wakefulness. In REM, the brainstem typically shuts down motor output so we don't act out dreams. In cataplexy, that immobility suddenly switches on while a person is awake. Muscles may go limp, knees buckle, or a person may collapse, though awareness usually remains. Episodes can be brief yet disruptive, especially when sparked by social or emotional events. Research into cataplexy reveals a tight link between emotion and the neural circuits that govern atonia loss of muscle tone. It suggests this system evolved to bind intense emotion to immobility, perhaps, as part of an ancient threat response. In narcolepsy, that safeguard misfires, giving us a vivid look at dream physiology out of sync. REM sleep behavior disorder acts out dreams in real life. During REM, the body should be paralyzed. In REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD, that safety barrier fails. People literally enact their dreams talking, shouting, kicking, even leaping from bed. The dreams are often intense and action-packed fights or chases, so movements can be abrupt and dangerous. Injuries to the sleeper or bed partner aren't uncommon. Doctors usually recommend making the sleep environment safer, and in many cases prescribe medication to suppress abnormal activity. Disruptive as it is, the condition is revealing. It shows how closely dreams are tied to the motor system and how hard the body normally works to keep us still in REM. When the mechanism breaks, the line between imagination and action disappears. The dream truly spills into the waking world. RBD is a strong early marker of alpha-synuclein disorders. RBD isn't just a sleep disorder. Long-term studies show a large share of diagnosed patients later develop neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, multiple system atrophy, or dementia with Lewy bodies. These conditions share a hallmark abnormal accumulation of alpha-synuclein protein in the brain. The motor systems affected in RBD are often among the earliest to show damage in these diseases. Because RBD can appear years before other symptoms, doctors consider it one of the most reliable early warning signs. Early detection allows closer monitoring, lifestyle adjustments, and participation in clinical trials testing preventive strategies. What looks like a sleep problem may be the brain's first signal of a larger disease long before tremors or memory decline appear. PTSD can disrupt sleep with repetitive, emotionally loaded dreams. For people with post-traumatic stress disorder, sleep can become a nightly replay of traumatic events. Rather than evolving and integrating, the brain repeats the same scenes, sometimes with vivid sensory detail and overwhelming emotion. This repetition can turn sleep into a source of fear, reinforcing anxiety instead of relieving it. Research links these dreams to overactive amygdala function and a disrupted neurochemistry in REM. Dreaming's usual role, softening and integrating emotional memories, gets stuck, blocking recovery. Nightmares may recreate the trauma nearly verbatim, or twist it into a symbolic form that still carries the same fear. Understanding this pattern has shaped therapies that target not only daytime PTSD symptoms, but also the dream life that sustains them. A space meant for creativity and rehearsal can become a stage for unquiet memory. Nightmare therapies can reduce distress and improve sleep. Nightmares are treatable, and many approaches don't require medication. Imagery rehearsal therapy, IRT, is one of the most effective. The person writes down the recurring nightmare, then creates a less threatening ending while awake. By rehearsing the new version daily, the brain can adopt it as a preferred script, gradually reducing nightmare frequency and intensity. Other techniques include relaxation training, mindfulness, and targeted use of sounds or scents during sleep to shift a dream's emotional tone. For trauma-related nightmares, certain medications can help, but therapy is often the first step. Reducing nightmares can improve sleep quality, mood, and daytime functioning. For many, it's a relief to know nightmares aren't a fixed curse. The brain's dream-making machinery is highly adaptable, and with gentle guidance, it can learn to turn frightening nights into safer, less overwhelming experiences. Children dream differently from adults. Kids' dreams aren't just shorter, they're shaped by developing brains and imaginations. Young children often report dreams full of animals, monsters, or simple adventures, rather than complex social scripts. Storylines may be disjointed, like a series of snapshots, rather than a continuous plot. As they grow, dreams gain structure, richer settings, and more realistic interactions. Researchers believe this reflects the maturation of visual and cognitive systems that support narrative and perspective-taking. Childhood dreams may also be more emotionally direct, with themes of being chased, getting lost, or separation from parents, mirroring the challenges of becoming independent. For many adults, looking back at early dreams reveals that the mind rehearsed not just events, but the very act of making meaning about the world. Teens report more intense, socially charged dreams. As children enter adolescence, dreams change. The simple, animal-filled stories of early years give way to more complex, socially saturated scenarios. Teens often dream about school friends and relationships, sometimes with high drama. Emotional intensity rises with more frequent themes of conflict, embarrassment, or romance. Brain development helps explain the shift during adolescence. Networks related to self-awareness, identity, and social reasoning change rapidly, and dreams seem to mirror these new preoccupations. Teen dream reports contain more conversations, more conflict, and more interactions with peers than those of younger children. These dreams may serve as a nightly dress rehearsal for navigating social challenges, testing responses in the safe theater of the dream world. For many teenagers, dreams can feel as real and emotionally intense as waking life, reflecting the turbulent process of growing up. Older adults remember dreams less often, but not necessarily because they have less REM. As we age, many people say they dream less. In reality, research suggests the overall amount of REM, the stage with the most vivid dreams, doesn't decline sharply after early adulthood. What changes is dream recall. Older adults wake up less often in the middle of REM, so they miss the chance to catch dream memories before they fade. Memory processes also shift with age, making it harder to hold on to those fleeting fragments. As a result, dreams may seem rarer, even while they're still happening. Interestingly, when older adults are awakened directly from REM in the lab, many can still report very detailed dreams. The content shifts too. Fewer chase scenes, fewer intense social conflicts, and more everyday situations, often calm or reflective. These changes suggest that dreams adapt across the lifespan, mirroring the evolving priorities and emotional landscape of each stage. Chronotype skews the timing and themes of dreams through the night. Everyone has a natural rhythm, often called early birds and night owls. This biological tendency, or chronotype, affects not just when you feel alert, but also when your dreams are most vivid. Morning types tend to recall dreams more from the first half of the night because sleep pressure builds quickly and they enter deep sleep sooner. Night owls tend to have longer, later REM periods, leading to more memorable dreams toward morning. Dream themes may shift too. Evening types often report more social and adventurous content, while morning types recall calmer or more routine scenes. These differences reflect how circadian rhythms interact with sleep stages and brain chemistry. Your internal clock shapes not only your best sleep window, but also when and in what color your mind's dream stories bloom. In a sense, your natural sleep schedule can tint both the timing and the tone of your inner narratives. Most REM clusters bunch up toward the end of the night near dawn. The sleep cycle repeats roughly every 90 minutes, moving through light sleep, deep sleep, and REM. In the first half of the night, slow-wave sleep dominates. REM is short, often just a few minutes. But as the night goes on, deep sleep shrinks and REM expands. Toward dawn, REM can last 40 minutes or more, making the final cycles rich with vivid dreaming. This is why people often remember the last dream before waking. It happens right before you rise during the longest REM stretch. This also explains why cutting sleep short reduces dream recall, wake too early, and you might miss the dream-rich part of the night. Sleep's natural rhythm builds toward those long, immersive segments, giving the brain time to consolidate memory, process emotion, and spin the colorful, strange narratives we call dreams. Lucid dreams tend to appear more in late REM. Lucidity often shows up in the final hours of sleep when REM periods are longest. The brain is especially active then, and brief micro-awakenings are more common, creating moments where awareness can slip in without breaking the dream. People training for lucid dreams often set an alarm to wake briefly in the night and then go back to sleep. This increases the chance of dropping into REM with the mind still slightly alert. Studies confirm that late-night REM is not only longer, but also more elaborate in plot and more self-reflective features that can help you realize this is a dream. For those exploring lucidity, timing can matter as much as technique. Early morning is when the border between waking and dreaming is thinnest, offering the clearest opportunity to step into a conscious dream. Daytime reality checks can carry over into dream awareness. One training method is to do reality checks while awake, simple tests like trying to push a finger through your palm or reading the same line twice to see if it changes. The idea is to make the habit so automatic that you eventually do it in a dream, because dreams often bend physical rules. The test will fail in obvious ways. The finger passes through or the text changes when you look again. That surprise can spark lucidity, letting you recognize you're dreaming without waking up. Research shows people who practice reality checks regularly during the day are more likely to experience lucid dreams at night. It's a way to plant awareness into the unconscious. Over time, the habit of questioning reality can carry into sleep, opening chances to explore the dream world deliberately. Mild primes the mind to notice it's dreaming. MILD stands for Mnemonic Induction of Lucid Dreams, developed by sleep researcher Stephen LaBerge. Practice begins by waking after several hours when REM periods are getting longer. Before going back to sleep, you vividly recall a recent dream and repeat an intention. Next time I'm dreaming, I'll remember that I'm dreaming. Combining memory rehearsal with intention helps the mind bring awareness into the next REM cycle. In studies, mild significantly increases lucid dream likelihood, especially when paired with brief nighttime awakenings. It works by leveraging the brain's natural tendency to replay memories during sleep. By focusing on recognizing dream signs, you train yourself to notice. For beginners, mild is one of the most accessible and effective techniques. WBTB catches REM and boosts lucidity. Wake Back to Bed is a reliable method to encourage lucid dreaming. It's simple after 4 to 6 hours of sleep. Get up for a short while, about 20 to 60 minutes. During that time, read about lucid dreams or reset your intention, then return to bed. Because REM runs longer toward morning, this second sleep bout often drops you right into a dream. The brain is also a bit more alert after the brief wake, making it easier to recognize you're dreaming. Studies show WBTB, especially combined with mild, can significantly raise success rates. Though it seems counterintuitive to wake yourself at night, many find the reward entering a dream consciously worth the brief interruption. SSILD cycles the senses to invite lucidity. A newer technique is SSILD, sense-initiated lucid dreaming. The idea is to tune the brain's awareness by rotating through the senses. Lying in bed, you focus on what you see behind closed eyelids, then shift to surrounding sounds, then to body sensations like touch or heartbeat. You repeat this cycle a few times without straining, letting attention drift gently. The exercise seems to prime the brain to notice subtle differences between perception in wakefulness and in dreams. In studies, people practicing SILD before returning to sleep after a brief awakening reported more lucid dreams. It's simple and needs no devices. It works best when approached with curiosity rather than effort. Trying too hard can keep you awake. For many, SILD becomes a quiet nightly ritual that occasionally opens the door to dream awareness. Galantamine can strongly boost lucid dream rates. Galantamine was developed to treat memory loss in conditions like Alzheimer's. It increases acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter deeply involved in attention and sleep. Sleep researchers found that taking a small dose at night, often combined with WBTB, can sharply raise the chances of lucid dreams. In studies, success rates more than doubled compared to mental techniques alone. Dreamers not only became lucid more often, but also had longer, more vivid dreams. Still, this isn't a casual tool. Galantamine can cause side effects like nausea or heart rhythm changes and should never be used without medical supervision. Even so, the finding matters. It shows how chemical nudges can markedly alter dream awareness, revealing the role of neurotransmitters in maintaining the sleeping brain's delicate balance. Once, lucid control gets easier with practice. At first, new lucid dreamers often get too excited and wake up. Even if they stay asleep, they may only manage partial control, seeing their hands or floating briefly, then losing focus as the dream shifts. With practice, control becomes steadier. Experienced dreamers describe stabilizing the dream by rubbing their hands, spinning, or concentrating on textures and sounds. These actions seem to anchor the mind inside the dream. Gradually, they learn to shape settings, summon objects, or guide the plot. The key is balance. Try too hard, and you may shatter the dream. Gentle attention keeps it going. This shows how responsive yet fragile the dream world is, like a canvas best preserved by patient-focused touch. Training skills in lucid dreams can feel astonishingly real. When you practice a skill in a lucid dream, the experience can be startlingly vivid. Athletes do drills, dancers rehearse choreography, musicians play instruments with sharp sensory detail. Brain imaging shows that during these rehearsals, the motor cortex and movement-related regions activate in patterns similar to real practice. Some studies suggest that practicing a task in a lucid dream can improve waking performance, as if the brain strengthens circuits through mental simulation. The dream world is a unique gym. Mistakes carry no risk, and impossible scenarios can be tried. Imagine rehearsing a speech before a non-judgmental audience or attempting a daring move without fear of falling. More research is needed to quantify how well improvements transfer, but the prospect of skill training in sleep is compelling. For those plagued by nightmares, lucidity offers a potential exit. When you realize you're dreaming, you can sometimes change the story, face the monster, transform a scary scene into a safe one, or close the dream. Studies show people trained in lucid dream techniques report fewer nightmares and less distress when they do occur. The shift doesn't have to make the dream pleasant. Sometimes simply recognizing the threat isn't real is enough to reduce fear. In some cases, dreamers use lucidity to confront fears, directly testing new responses in the safe space of the dream world. Not everyone achieves stable lucidity, but for those who do, it's a remarkable tool, reshaping fear from the inside, turning nighttime terrors into moments of control and calm. Even though the body is locked during sleep, inner systems mirror dream emotion with surprising precision. Researchers tracking heart rate and breathing patterns find they often reflect the emotional intensity of a dream. A frightening chase can speed the heart. A peaceful dream can slow the breath. These changes aren't random. In some studies, lucid dreamers even deliberately slowed their breathing inside a dream, and the effect showed up clearly on external monitors. This link underscores how tightly the sleeping mind and body remain connected. Dream emotions aren't abstract. They ripple into the heart, lungs, and nervous system, leaving subtle traces science can measure. Though the body lies still, a dream's rhythms stir within, showing how real those experiences can be. Awake. Your pupils respond not only to light, but also to emotion and mental effort. They widen with surprise, excitement, or focus. Remarkably, a similar effect happens in sleep. Even with eyes closed, infrared cameras show that pupil size still changes in step with dream content. When dreamers later report excitement or fear, pupils tend to dilate. When calm, they constrict. These shifts occur alongside rapid eye movements, giving scientists another window into the hidden activity of dreams. This finding suggests that emotions during sleep aren't just imagined, they carry real physiological signatures. It also shows the mind-body link stays active, even as consciousness shifts. Your pupils, invisible in the dark, still mirror a dream's intensity, quietly echoing the sleeping mind's emotions. The hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped structure deep in the brain, is essential for memory and spatial navigation. During sleep, it replays activity patterns from the day. In rodents, neurons fire in the same sequence the animal used while running a maze, but faster and more compressed. In humans, brain imaging shows similar patterns. This replay is thought to strengthen memories, transferring them from short-term storage to more stable cortical networks, while linking experiences together, stitching separate events into broader knowledge. This process often coincides with REM and vivid dreams, suggesting that dream imagery may partly reflect the brain rehearsing routes, experiences, and sequences. Those strange dream journeys may at their core be your hippocampus retracing daytime paths, reinforcing your inner map of the world. Some of the clearest evidence for sleep replay comes from rodent studies. In experiments, rats trained to run a maze had their hippocampal neurons recorded. Each location in the maze activated a specific place cell ensemble. Later during sleep, these cells fired again in the same order, but much faster, as if the rat's brain were fast-forwarding the route. Sometimes the replay ran backward, like tracing the path from finish to start. These reactivations occurred during bursts called sharp wave ripples, which are linked to memory consolidation. The findings show sleep is anything but idle. The brain uses quiet hours to practice, strengthen, and reorganize experience so the animal navigates better next time. Some birds don't just learn their song while awake. In the lab, when scientists record neural activity in sleeping young birds, the patterns often replay the same sequences as their daytime singing. Sometimes the sleeping bird even produces tiny murmurs like humming along in its sleep. This replay is thought to refine timing and structure, crucial for communication and mating. When a recorded tutor song is played during sleep, the bird's brain activity shifts as if integrating new material. By morning, practice songs can sound smoother. This suggests a role for dreaming and learning not just in humans, but across species. For birds, the night becomes a studio where neural circuits are polished and melodies are shaped while the body rests. Octopuses sleep too, and in certain phases their bodies put on a show. Skin ripples with changing colors and patterns, as if camouflaging or signaling with no one watching. Eyes twitch, bodies make brief movements. Researchers call this an active sleep state, comparable to REM in mammals. Some propose the color shifts reflect octopuses dreaming, replaying daytime experiences like hunting or hiding. Others suggest a kind of neural reset, rehearsing survival patterns. We can't ask an octopus what it saw. but the visible performance offers a glimpse of their inner life, hinting that dreamlike states may be widespread in animals reaching beyond mammals to the shape-shifting intelligences of the sea. For years, people thought dreaming was limited to mammals and birds. Reptiles with slower metabolism and seemingly simpler brains were once excluded. But ultrafine electrode studies revealed a surprise. Some lizards and other reptiles have alternating sleep states, including phases very similar to REM. During these phases, the brain shows fast electrical activity and the eyes move beneath the lids. Whether reptiles truly dream is hard to say. We can't ask them. But the presence of REM-like cycles suggests the roots of dreaming may run deeper in evolutionary history. If so, the capacity to create an inner world may be a very ancient biological trait, hundreds of millions of years old, not just a human mystery, but a shared feature of life on Earth. Newborns sleep almost all day, often 16 hours or more, and strikingly, about half of that time is REM, far more than adults, typically around 20%. This abundance of REM is thought to be essential for brain development in infants. The brain is still wiring itself, creating countless new connections, and REM's lively activity may provide the stimulation needed to shape those networks before babies can fully explore the world. Parents often notice twitches, smiles, or little movements during sleep signs of a very busy brain in the crib. Over the first few years, the REM proportion gradually drops as waking experience becomes the main source of learning. In this sense, dreaming may help lay the groundwork for the very self that will think. Even before birth, the human brain seems to dream. Ultrasound and other measurements show that in the final months of pregnancy, fetuses cycle through sleep states, including an active state with rapid eye movements. Eyes dart beneath the lids, and waves of neural activity sweep across the brain. This fetal REM-like state is thought to be crucial for brain development. Because a fetus receives little sensory input, REM's endogenous activity may provide practice for processing sights, sounds, and motion never yet experienced. Some scientists even suggest fetuses may have primitive dreamlike sensations, flashes of light, warmth, or rhythm. Whether that counts as dreaming is debated, but the activity is undeniable. Long before the first breath, the brain is rehearsing the art of perception, building neural circuits for waking life and for dreams. Anyone who's lived with a dog has seen it twitch its paws, paddle, or whimper softly in sleep, as if running or kicking, chasing in a dream. REM muscles are supposed to be locked to prevent dream enactment, but small signals sometimes slip past the brainstem's gate. In humans, this shows up as tiny finger or eye twitches. In dogs, the movements can be larger, perhaps due to differences in how their motor systems are wired. These twitches most likely reflect fragments of motor commands from dreams, the brain issuing signals strong enough for us to glimpse a bit of them. The behavior offers a brief window into their inner life. Though we don't know what dogs dream, those paddling legs suggest their nights, like ours, are full of vivid adventures. Unlike most mammals, elephants sleep very little, just 2 to 4 hours per night in the wild, the least of any known mammal. They often rest standing and may go days without lying down. Because REM requires deep muscle relaxation, elephants enter REM only every few days, usually when lying on their sides. Despite spending little time in REM, elephants are famously intelligent with strong memory and complex social lives. challenging the idea that lots of REM is required for advanced cognition. Some propose that elephants may replay memories or process emotion differently, perhaps during NREM. Their unusual sleep reminds us there's no single blueprint for overnight brain recovery, even among the smartest species. Dolphins live where vigilance is survival to breathe. They must surface regularly, even while resting. Their solution is uni-hemispheric slow-wave sleep. One half of the brain sleeps while the other stays awake. This lets one eye remain open as dolphins swim surface to breathe and watch for predators. It also raises a question: do dolphins dream? Since sleep is usually paired with full-body stillness, that would be risky for a species that must keep moving to breathe. Research suggests dolphins either have very brief REM episodes or a modified version of REM. Some scientists think they still experience dreamlike imagery, but likely quite different from humans. Others think dolphins evolved to dream less or in a wholly different way. In the open ocean, survival may have remolded the very nature of dreaming. REM is sometimes called paradoxical sleep, and the reason lies in its contradiction. From the outside, a person in REM looks deeply asleep, muscles slack, body still, but the brain waves look more like wakefulness than deep sleep. That's the paradox. The body is frozen, yet the brain is ablaze with fast rhythms, surging emotion, and vivid imagery. This discovery puzzled scientists in the 1950s. How could someone who seems unconscious have a brain that looks awake? Today, we know that paradox is the heart of dreaming. Sleep isn't a simple on-off switch for the mind. It's a shifting balance of states, where deep rest and intense mental activity coexist in a nightly rhythm of recovery and imagination. One of sleep's most mysterious features is atonia, the paralysis that keeps us from acting out our dreams. Scientists have traced this mechanism to circuits in the brainstem and spinal cord during REM. These regions send strong inhibitory signals that silence most motor neurons, effectively cutting the line between the brain's commands and the muscles. Without this system, dream movements would be carried out in real life, as happens in REM sleep behavior disorder. Animal experiments show that disabling these circuits makes cats or rodents jump, run, or pounce in their sleep, performing their dreams. The paralysis isn't complete. Small twitches still leak through, but overall it keeps sleepers safe. Understanding atonia also has practical value. Disorders that weaken or break this system can be early signs of neurological disease, and studying it shows how carefully the brain balances safety with nocturnal imagination. The amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep in the brain, plays a central role in processing emotion, especially fear and threat. During sleep, it's unusually active, while the prefrontal cortex, the region for logic, planning, and self-control, grows quiet. This combination may explain why dreams are so emotional and unpredictable. We can be terrified one moment and elated the next without questioning contradictions. Heightened amygdala activity may also serve a purpose. Some researchers suggest it helps the brain revisit emotional memories in a safe context, reducing their sting by re-experiencing them without real-world consequences. Quieting the executive regions lets feelings unfold more freely, unfiltered by waking logic. In that sense, dreams can be a kind of nighttime workshop where the brain experiments with emotion, helping us adapt to life's challenges when awake. The prefrontal cortex settles down in sleep, one reason most dreams feel utterly real while we're in them. the brain is less able to step outside and detect inconsistencies. Flying feels normal, talking animals don't raise questions. Logic dims and imagination takes the wheel. But in lucid dreams, something unusual happens. Parts of the prefrontal cortex switch back on, restoring a degree of self-reflection. Suddenly, the dreamer realizes this is a dream. With practice, that awareness can be strengthened, giving the dreamer more control over the unfolding story. The contrast shows how much our sense of reality depends on the prefrontal cortex when it rests. We surrender to the stream of images and feelings. When it re-engages, we regain perspective even though the world around us is made entirely of dreams. During sleep, the brain generates characteristic electrical activity called theta rhythms, slow, rolling waves also seen when we're awake and deeply focused or recalling experiences. In dreams, theta seems to help the brain stitch together fragments of memory, emotion, and imagination into fluid narratives. Without it, dreams might be just a jumble of disconnected images. Research shows stronger theta activity in sleep is linked to better memory integration and more vivid dream recall, as if theta provides the thread that weaves separate scraps into a continuous tapestry. This weaving may be one reason dreams sometimes connect unlikely elements. Yesterday's conversation, a childhood place, tomorrow's worry, the brain ties them into a story guided by these subtle rhythms, creating the strange yet meaningful flow of dream life. Even in sleep, the brain isn't fully closed to the world. Slow waves, the deep, unhurried patterns that dominate NREM, act like a gatekeeper. At the peaks of the wave, the brain is more receptive to outside stimuli like sounds or touch. At the troughs, it's less responsive. Experiments show that playing a sound during an open-door phase makes the signal more likely to be integrated into a dream, while the same sound during a silent phase can pass unnoticed. This gating may be protective, helping the brain remain mostly undisturbed while still catching important signals. And it also gives researchers a way to influence dreams gently by timing inputs to these rhythms. It shows dreams aren't sealed off from the environment. The brain listens along the waves and chooses moments for the outside world to slip into the inner story. Sense can tune a dream's mood even without appearing as smells. Unlike vision or hearing, smells rarely show up directly in dreams. Few people report sniffing flowers or tasting food while dreaming, yet studies show scents still quietly influence a dream's emotion. In experiments, pleasant odors like rose introduced during sleep often soften a dream's tone, while unpleasant odors like rotten eggs can darken it, adding anxiety. Notably, smells rarely appear as smells in the dream. Instead, they change the whole atmosphere. A nightmare may feel less threatening, or a neutral dream may grow warm and gentle. This suggests the olfactory system takes a shortcut, bypassing conscious perception during sleep and sending signals straight to the brain's emotional centers. A reminder of how powerful scent is, even when we hardly notice it. Dreams aren't simply invented by the mind in isolation. They're shaped by the body's senses, woven together with influences we may not realize are present. A light touch can even become a knock at the door in a dream. Touch, like sound, can seep into dreams in unexpected ways. A gentle tap on the skin while you sleep usually doesn't wake you. Instead, the sensation is transformed into part of the plot. Pressure on the hand may become the feeling of holding something. A tap on the shoulder may turn into someone knocking at a door. In the lab, scientists applied very light touches during REM, then asked participants what they dreamed. Many reported scenes with touching, knocking, or pressing directly tied to the stimulus. This shows the dreaming brain tries to make sense of every signal, whether it comes from inside or out. Rather than ignore it, the brain folds the cue into the ongoing story. The result is a seamless blend where the external world and internal narrative overlap naturally. Alarm clocks often disguise themselves as ringing phones in dreams. A common experience, the sound of an alarm slips into a dream. Instead of waking immediately, the sound is woven into the narrative. First, ringing becomes a phone call, a doorbell, even a distant siren. Dreamers often continue for a few moments before realizing the sound is real. This happens because the dreaming brain aims to preserve coherence. When an odd sound intrudes, it quickly finds an explanation within the dream's context. Eventually, as the sound persists, the sleeper wakes. But that brief blending highlights the porous border between dreaming and waking and shows the brain's determination to protect sleep. Even at the edge of the alarm, it tries to keep the dream alive just a little longer. Studying before bed also raises the odds that related material will appear in dreams. If you learn or practice a skill before sleep, there's a good chance it will show up in your dreams. This effect has been seen across many experiments. People who spend the evening playing a video game, practicing a piano piece, or reviewing for an exam often report that their dreams echo those activities. Dreams don't always replay the experience verbatim. Instead, fragments appear, shapes from the game, sounds from the music, or settings from the study material. Crucially, when that content shows up in dreams, next-day performance often improves. It seems the brain uses sleep to consolidate and integrate what's been learned with dreams as a byproduct of that process. The night idle, yet anything but idle, becomes an extension of daytime lessons. Sleep isn't just rest, but a rehearsal that reinforces new skills and memories. The Tetris effect can pipe game patterns straight into dreams. When people play a repetitive game like Tetris for long stretches, something odd happens at night. They often dream of falling blocks, shifting patterns, or visual fragments of the game. This is called the Tetris effect. It isn't limited to games. Hours of skiing can lead to sloped dreams. Studying chess can summon a board in sleep. Even people with amnesia who can't recall that they played while awake still dream of falling blocks, showing the effect arises from unconscious replay in the brain. Scientists believe this reflects the hippocampus and visual areas rehearsing daytime activity. Dreams aren't always full narratives. They can be flashes and loops, mental afterimages. The Tetris effect reminds us that what we do while awake doesn't stop at bedtime. The brain keeps processing, often translating it into dream imagery. Dreams can even boost creative problem solving in the morning. Some famous breakthroughs are tied to dreams. Chemist Auguste Kekulé dreamed of a snake biting its tail and realized benzene's ring structure. A musician may wake with a new melody, a writer with a plot idea, an inventor with a solution. Science supports these anecdotes. People who sleep after working on a problem are more likely to find a creative answer than those who stay up. Dreaming seems to encourage new connections by loosening strict logic and ordinary associations. Random pieces cohere into novel patterns, sometimes useful by daylight. The effect is strongest for problems that are complex or need an aha moment more than rote memory. Dreams may not hand you a finished answer, but they give the mind space to experiment, link distant ideas, and wake with a fresh, unexpected angle, sometimes a brilliant one. Targeted memory reactivation helps strengthen selected memories overnight. When you learn something new, the brain begins consolidating it into long-term storage. Scientists discovered this process can be steered with well-timed cues. If a sound is paired with learning, like a specific note played while studying words or practicing a task, and the same sound is played again during sleep, the linked memory is more likely to be strengthened. This technique is called targeted memory reactivation. People who hear the cue at night often remember the associated material better the next morning, even though they're unaware they heard anything. The sound doesn't disrupt sleep. It simply nudges the brain to replay the paired memory. The finding shows sleep is selective, focusing on some memories while letting others fade. It also hints at future possibilities where learning and therapy are gently enhanced by tapping into the rhythms of dreaming. Targeted dream incubation can also steer hypnagogic themes. A new approach explores how we might guide dream content. Using wearables, researchers detect when someone is slipping into hypnagogia, the hazy state right before deeper sleep. At that moment, the device delivers a very soft audio prompt, like a word or short phrase. The cue is often woven straight into the fleeting dreamlet. If the keyword is tree, the dreamer may later report forests or roots. If it's a river, they might describe water flowing. By repeating this process across cycles of light sleep, researchers can gently steer the theme without fully waking the sleeper. Early experiments suggest this can boost creativity, helping new ideas emerge around the chosen theme. This shows that dreams, while mysterious, aren't entirely beyond influence. With subtle guidance, we can shape the direction of the mind's nighttime wanderings, opening new possibilities for imagination. Brain-computer links have even recorded answers from within dreams in real time. Lucid dreamers who know they're dreaming can sometimes communicate with the outside world. In lab studies, participants were trained to signal by moving their eyes in patterns while asleep. When asked simple questions like basic math problems, they could reply from within the dream by glancing left-right according to a preset code. Researchers recorded the responses in real time while the dream was still unfolding. For the first time, this showed that two-way information exchange is possible during dreaming. That finding suggests dreams aren't a sealed-off experience, but a state that can interact with waking reality. Even though the conversation so far is simple, the idea of talking to a sleeper and receiving real answers from an imagined world opens a new frontier for both neuroscience and our understanding of consciousness. People rarely write or read clear text in dreams. If you've ever tried reading a book or checking your phone in a dream, you've probably noticed something odd. The words don't stay put. They blur, scramble, or change each time you look back. This happens because language processing relies heavily on regions in the left hemisphere, areas that are much less active during REM. Without the smooth operation of those systems, the brain struggles to generate stable text. Lucid dreamers often use reality checks by glancing at a clock or a page twice. If the numbers or letters change, it's a clear sign you're dreaming. Interestingly, some people with exceptionally vivid dream recall say text is occasionally stable, but that's the exception. Dreams favor images, emotions, and sounds over words. They remind us that language, powerful as it is, may take a backseat to older, deeper forms of imagination in the brain. Mirrors and faces often warp self-image and become unstable. Dreams are famous for shifting landscapes, but they also distort something more intimate, our own reflection. Many people report that when they look into a mirror in a dream, their face flickers, blurs, or turns into someone else. Even other people's faces can stretch, warp, or merge familiar features. Scientists think this happens because face recognition and self-representation rely on brain regions that normally coordinate with the logical control systems in the prefrontal cortex. When asleep, those control systems quiet down, making perception looser and more unstable. The dreaming brain stitches together features from memory, but lacks the regulating mechanisms that keep a coherent sense of self during wakefulness. These distorted self-images can be unsettling, even nightmarish, but they reveal something profound. The face we recognize each morning isn't fixed. It's a fragile mental construct kept seamless by waking consciousness. Out-of-body sensations can arise from overlapping intrusions. Some dreams create the uncanny feeling of leaving the body. People describe floating above themselves, seeing from the ceiling, or drifting through walls. These out-of-body experiences often occur alongside sleep paralysis, when immobility lingers even though awareness has returned. Parietal and vestibular regions, areas that track the body's position in space, may misfire, producing a feeling of separation from the physical form. Similar sensations can even be triggered while awake, with brain stimulation suggesting a shared mechanism. For some, the experience is terrifying, tied to feeling trapped. For others, it's freeing, like flying beyond bodily limits. Such out-of-body dreams show how strongly our sense of self depends on the brain's internal body map. When that map glitches, the mind can produce the extraordinary impression of existing outside one's skin. Sleep inertia blurs dream memory within minutes. Most of us wake up with only fragments if we remember anything at all. One reason is a phenomenon called sleep inertia. It's the groggy state right after waking when the brain is shifting from sleep to alertness. In this window, short-term memory is fragile. Dream content is already unstable, so it fades quickly if we don't catch it. Research shows that delaying recall by just 30 seconds can erase most details. That's why keeping a notebook by the bed helps. Jotting down a few words before you move or touch your phone can preserve the memory. Sleep inertia also explains why dreams can feel vivid when you wake in the night but vanish by morning. The dream world is delicate, crumbling unless we seize it right away, like trying to cup mist before the sun dries it. A consistent wake-up time also helps make recall more regular. One of the simplest ways to remember more dreams is to wake up at the same time every day. With a stable sleep schedule, the brain settles into predictable cycles with longer REM phases toward the end of the night. If you wake during or just after those phases, your chances of recalling vivid dreams rise significantly. An erratic schedule disrupts this pattern. Getting up too early can cut off REM, while sleeping in too long can blur dream memories in morning grogginess. People who stick to a fixed wake time often see natural improvements in dream recall, even without journaling or special techniques. Over a few weeks, the brain seems to adapt, delivering clearer memories right on cue each morning. That steady rhythm is a gentle way to reconnect with your dreaming self, showing how simple habits can unlock the most hidden inner worlds. Sharing dreams with a partner can deepen connection. Talking about dreams is like exchanging something private, intimate even. Dreams are often odd, vulnerable, and deeply personal, reflecting fears and desires in disguise. Research suggests couples who share dreams tend to feel closer and more connected. Dream talk can spark conversations about emotions that rarely surface, unspoken worries and quiet hopes. It also invites empathy, as two people link dream characters and themes to real life. Some therapists even use dream sharing as a tool for building relationships. Though dreams fade quickly, the conversations they spark can deepen bonds. Sharing a dream says, "This is my mind's private theater. I trust you." In that way, even those strange nighttime vistas can enrich intimacy and understanding in waking life. Most dream characters are familiar strangers, are rarer than we think. It may sound like dreams are full of strangers, but research shows most characters are familiar faces, family friends, co-workers. Sometimes they're in disguise, blending traits from different people, but they're still rooted in memory. Even when a figure seems unfamiliar, you've likely seen that face before passing on the street or in a photo. The brain appears to reuse real images, whether we consciously remember them or not. This suggests dreams may be a way of processing social knowledge, revisiting and reshaping interactions. Characters aren't random. They're drawn from a lifetime of encounters. Dreams remind us just how much the inner world is built from memory, storing countless impressions that resurface unexpectedly long after we think we've forgotten. And still, dreams keep their most beautiful secrets. Despite much research theory and experimentation, dreams remain mysterious. We know the brain is active during sleep, replaying memories, processing emotions, and weaving vivid stories. We know signals from the outside world can slip in, and that brain chemistry shapes dream intensity. We even know some animals may experience dreamlike states. Yet the ultimate purpose of dreaming is still debated: survival rehearsal, creativity engine, or simply a byproduct of a brain that stays busy at night. Perhaps all of these, or something else entirely. Dreams resist simple explanations, reminding us that not every mystery is meant to be solved quickly. Instead, they invite wonder, exploration, and imagination. As you drift off tonight, you may find yourself stepping into that hidden theater again, guided by your own sleeping mind. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey through 100 captivating facts about dreams. From the first flickers of hypnagogia to REM's enigmatic echoes, we've wandered the landscapes the mind creates when the outside world grows quiet. Dreams remain one of science's most alluring puzzles. We can measure brainwaves, track eye movements, and even glimpse categories of images with AI's help. But the heart of dreaming, the private, ever-changing story that opens each night, still belongs only to you. As you fall asleep, you may notice pieces of the day blending with imagination. You might soar, you might wander, you might meet a familiar face in a faraway place. Strange or gentle, the dream is yours, a private theater that opens every night. Thank you for drifting with Easy Sleep Science channel on this exploration. Sleep well and see you in the next video.